Good morning, Frederick County, Virginia, Winchester. This is Dana B with Charlie M. Scotty S couldn't be with us this morning, but we are the 3% from Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries. Today is March 10th, 2026. We want to thank everybody for taking a little bit of time here with us today, and we hope that you take a look at our ministry, that you share what we're putting out there. You all know that we have a big battle that we're trying to fight to free our country and take this country back. So this morning we have the opportunity to meet with the president of Virginia Citizens Defense League, the VCDL, right here in Virginia. And Charlie and I get the opportunity to talk with Philip this morning. And actually, he was on our Monday night 2-hour meeting last night. And I hope you enjoyed that, Philip, because we covered a
Oh, I
lot of
did.
stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And we hope you guys will watch that as well. So we're not going to take a whole lot of time today, but we're going to turn it over to Charlie, and we're going to fill you in on a little bit about what VCDL is doing, how we can get involved, and how we can take America back. So, Charlie, it's all yours, my friend.
Okay, thanks, Dana. And thank you, Phil, for taking your time and being
Absolutely.
willing to be on our podcast. And as we like to know a little bit about the person that we're talking to, and we'd like our viewers to know a little bit where you came from. So if you'd be willing to share a little bit about your background before you got involved in VCDL, we'd appreciate that.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Actually, I grew up in Illinois, suburbia of Chicago, Hillside, Illinois. This was in the 60s, and Chicago hadn't gone quite as far downhill as it has now in Illinois.
Right.
I
Yep.
left there in 67. I moved to Texas with my parents. I was 15 when we left there. So, but it was interesting because, like, we went to my sister, my older sister, and my mother went to a horse race, and I went along with what looked like a Remington 870 shotgun. It was a water gun. But I'm in there walking around for an hour. Nobody even pays any attention. And finally, security came up. They looked at it, laughed, and walked away. Nowadays, they would call out the SWAT team. They
Yep.
would shut down the whole place. They would have perp walked me out of there.
Oh,
The world has
God.
changed a lot.
That's true. That's true.
So then
Yes.
I moved to Texas, and there I got my first. I had BB guns up in Illinois for I had lots of BB and pellet guns, stuff like that growing up. When I got to Texas, I got my first shotgun, at like 16 years old, and then
Yeah.
did a little hunting and stuff with my uncle. And then when I turned 21, I got in the sheriff's department as a reserve deputy. So that was
Hmm.
actually very useful in what I do now, to have been on that side of the badge, to have seen and
Yeah.
understand crime and
Yeah.
all that's involved in law enforcement. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it was really great giving back
Very
to the
cool.
community. Yeah, saving lives. Sometimes you couldn't save them, and that was sad. But you did the best you could. But that was educational. And in 1980, when I was about 28 or so, we moved to Virginia. And here I have a master's degree in computer science.
Hmm.
I always knew that science was going to be where I was headed.
Sure.
And so I have my own little software company and everything. So I still had my revolver from when I was a deputy when I moved to Virginia, but I didn't know about open carry here. I knew that I checked into concealed carry. They said, "Oh, don't even bother. It's $100 and the judge will turn you down for anything unless you're guarding money. Forget your life. We don't care about that. But if you want to guard money, well, that's different. Then you can." So I just said, okay, now I just gave up. And so I kept my gun at home and didn't carry it around with me. And so you flash forward to you have events in your life where you've got a like photographic image of something that
Right.
was usually it's because there's adrenaline associated with it,
Right.
locks in something that happened to you, either good or
Sure.
bad. I remember it was July 2nd, 1995. I was walking by the television in our den, and all of a sudden, and I remember this clear as day, I picture everything. I heard them saying, "Today is the second day you can apply for a concealed carry permit in Virginia, and they have to issue it unless there's something wrong with you criminally."
Hmm.
And I froze. It was like, what?
What?
So I was immediately a man on a mission. but it took like weeks to get into a class because everybody was a man on a mission because now finally Virginia was opening up.
Right.
And
Opening up.
they had 90 days to process my application here in Chesterfield, and they took every bit of 90 days, even though the judge had signed off weeks earlier.
Wow.
You know, that's the system that we were in back then. They
Right.
didn't really want to do this. And what I didn't know then was that an organization called the Northern Virginia Citizens Defense League had formed back in October of 94. And the first year, right out of the box, they went to the General Assembly and they got the law changed from being a may issue state, where a judge could turn you down for a permit for any reason he wished and keep your $100, to a shall issue state, where the impetus
Like
was on
Maryland.
the state to show you were disqualified. Yeah, like the
Yep.
other one was like Maryland.
Maryland.
So I was waiting for my permit, went on vacation. We were in Hawaii on a beach, and I'm sitting there reading gun magazines because I'm going, well, now that I carry concealed, I didn't have to worry about that in Texas. What would be a good gun? So I started researching, and what I learned wasn't about guns. I finally got the education on the Second Amendment from all these gun magazines. I was kind of going, what? No, I thought it was a collective right. You know, I didn't know the schools weren't teaching you this stuff. And Sheriff's Department, we really weren't, believe it or not, we weren't that concerned with guns. We didn't ask everybody we stopped if they had a gun. I mean, that rarely ever came up. You know,
It used to be
we
in the
didn't.
back of your pickup truck when you went to high school
Yeah,
with the
sure.
windows open.
Exactly, you know. But the point was, once I realized that I've been lied to by government, I've been lied to by the press, I've been lied to by schools, I became angry. I became sort of the worst enemy of gun control. At that point, I was on a new mission. My new mission was, I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen to other people. And I live in Richmond, so I may as well go downtown come January. I've never lobbied, never been down there, but I'm going to go down there as a one-man team and do whatever I can to try to fix these laws. And I walked in the doors not knowing where to begin. I walked right into the arms of NVCDL. They had nobody down here that could lobby. They were all up in Northern Virginia. It took them hours to get to the General Assembly. And they learned, oh, I'm 20 minutes away, you know. No, I knew nothing about lobbying, but we worked together. They taught me everything I needed to know about how the General Assembly works, how, you know, all the procedures and all that.
Right.
Got me going on lobbying. And from there, it was a marriage in heaven because I was on that mission. And yet I was a guided missile, which is while flying around, they made sure that I got the education I needed to get going. And I slowly worked my way up the ladder over the years, eventually becoming president in 2001. I was vice president for a few years. They offered me presidency a year earlier. I said, no. I still got way too much to learn, and I did. Between gun laws and everything else that was going on, I wanted to make sure this was such an important job. I didn't want to flub it. So I said, give me another year to work as vice president. So anyhow, and it's been great. I love it. The gun rights people are some of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. People like you guys. You know, after our meetings, people hang around and talk till they shut the lights off in the place because they enjoy each other's company. They enjoy the conversation. The other side doesn't even like each other.
No, they don't like each other.
No, they don't.
No. Well, they don't trust each other.
No,
well,
they don't.
Shouldn't. my wife will, go ahead. Sorry.
So did it change from NVDL or
NVCDL?
NVCDL to VCDL?
Yes, it did in 1998.
And you've been
so
doing
it's the
this
same
25
organization.
years.
Got it.
Well,
Just expanded Virginia-wide.
We incorporated in 98. Before we weren't incorporated. We just sort of formed. And Paul Moog was the founder, and there were like 30 people that got together and formed the original group. I came in, once I started doing what I was, they made me an executive member and then eventually vice president. But that we incorporated, went statewide. But I mean, at least they had it was amazing what they pulled off. And let me tell you, other gun organizations were telling us at the time, NVCDL, we need to wait. Right now, here's the configuration, guys, back in 1995, in case you've forgotten. The Democrats controlled the House, the Democrats controlled the Senate, and we had a Republican governor. In that configuration, we got one of the most powerful gun rights laws in Virginia passed. Now, has the world changed? Now we probably wouldn't even get one vote from a Democrat to do the same thing if that's what we were
Yeah.
doing. Forget it. It would never have happened in the configuration we've been through recently.
But they can
Another
carry.
little piece of evidence that today's Democratic Party is not your father's
No,
Democratic Party.
No,
no, not even close. Not even
no.
close.
So why is VCDL important to our listeners?
Well, the founding fathers recognized that to remain a free people, a truly free people, we needed to be able to bear arms. They knew that. They had seen it throughout history. They'd seen it in Europe where they'd come from. The first thing tyrants did, the first thing governments did that wanted to become all powerful was to take away your ability to fight back.
Right.
The founding fathers knew this. They knew if we lost if we didn't have the Second Amendment, we wouldn't have the First Amendment, we wouldn't have the Fourth Amendment, we wouldn't have the Fifth Amendment. I could even see, you could see government going, well, if we could search your house anytime we wanted, day or night, well, just think of all the criminals we could catch. You could just imagine where this would go if you were like England, where you have nothing. You've got rocks and they've got guns. That doesn't work. So the founding fathers knew that they had to really protect the Second Amendment. That's why it's the only one that says shall not be infringed, and they meant it. Because they knew the infringements would be government trying to overstep its boundaries, and that's why VCDL is important, because it's protecting that right. You can enjoy your First Amendment, your Fourth, all that, but we're about the Second. That's what we protect, like jealous guard dogs, and with good reason. Right now, the Second Amendment is under attack from all angles. They definitely want to take our guns away. There's no doubt that's the end game. They denied it for years. Oh, no, nobody wants to take your guns.
We want to make you safe.
Yes, they did. Yes. Oh, just common sense gun control. We don't want to take guns. Just common sense gun control. We knew the truth, and now the truth has come out. Indeed, they do want to take your guns, because the assault weapon bans and all that, that's taking guns. And the current ban that they've got, it says you can keep the guns you've got. Well, if that's all you're worried about, you're selfish and you don't understand how America works. What about the next generation? Who are you to give up the rights of the next generation just so that you can keep your guns?
Right.
No, that's not American. That's not the way to be.
Think about this.
That.
We've talked a lot about this. And if you're watching what's going on in other countries, can you imagine us? Okay, you said something about getting your permit or your concealed carry. Okay, there's your start. We want to find out where everything is. But imagine if we had to get a permit for the First Amendment. And that's what's happening in other countries. If you say this, or you say this, or you do this, you can die for it. Look what's going on right now in Iran. And you have all of these women right now saying, if I do this, or this, I can't say this because they're going to kill us. And then Charlie and I got the opportunity to speak with the Liberty Man. And we know back in 1775 and 1776 that if you spoke against the king, okay, they would either kill you, they would cut the ears off of you, Charlie, or the ears off of your horse, or the tail off of your horse. If you said anything, okay, they could kill you. So, we have to be able to protect. The Second Amendment always protects our right, every other right that we have, especially the right to our constitutional right of free speech. It is so important, and I hope people wake up, no matter what side you're on, whether you're pro-gun or anti-gun or whatever. What's funny to me, though, is the fact that, and I was listening to Spamberger on Colbert, okay? It was Philip, it was a clip. It just was one of those things that somebody sent me that said, you have to watch this. And she's talking about, you're going to love this. She's talking about being part of the CIA and how she carries. And I'm thinking, well, wait a second. It's okay for you because you're the governor. But it's not okay for me, who hired you to do what we wanted you to do, because we're a republic. We're not a democracy. It was just, I have to find that clip.
The example I give is the way it's set up now with the government. It's like, you own a mansion. You've worked hard your whole life. You got millions. You own a mansion. You've got a butler. And you go in and the butler's in there and he says, well, sir, tonight you're having hamburger and I'm having filet mignon. Like, what? Government is our servant. It's not our master. They should not tyranny is when the government gives itself all kinds of stuff, like it could have machine guns and we can't. That's a form of tyranny.
Right.
No, they're a servant. They can have what we have if we decide to let them have it. But
Yep.
no, it's all backwards. And again, the founding fathers saw this coming. But it's the Second Amendment, I think, that has kept us from having a revolution already. I think the founding fathers might
Absolutely.
even be shocked as to how well the Second Amendment has kept government at bay from just coming out, just flat out taking over. But that's still a very much a reality out there. And keep in mind, Second Amendment isn't just about protecting yourself from the government. If something like Katrina happened,
Right.
the government may be out of commission for a while. You may have to defend your own family, your own neighborhoods. People get together and protect themselves, so you
Yep.
can protect the country while the government's getting back on its feet. And of course, third and one of the most important is just protecting your life, because there are people that hate you because of your religion, they hate you because of your skin color, they hate you for whatever reason, or they're just violent, evil people. You got to be able to protect
So,
yourself.
And Philip, isn't it true that we're supposed to have a well-regulated militia?
Yeah, that's a good one. Well regulated means that
Well-regulated
we
militia.
were well trained. Yeah, we were well. The government, the founding fathers expected us to know how to use our guns.
Yep.
And they wanted us to actually be able to work together with our neighbors to be an unorganized militia. But to do that, they wanted you to train and do things, and that was your
Right.
well-regulated militia. And some people pounce on that and go, "Well, but you're not a militia." I said,
The M
to
word.
read the Second Amendment. It says a well-regulated militia, and then it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms. It didn't say the right of the militia to keep and bear arms. It said the right of the people. Again, emphasizing the militia is a subset of the reasons that the Second
Right.
Amendment is there. But
I'm
they
glad we're
put
talking about
that
this.
first as a prerequisite because they wanted to emphasize that we want these militias. We want to be able to stand up to a tyrannical government. And that's one of the key reasons we have the Second Amendment. But it's not about militias, it's about the people in the end.
Amen. Perfect.
so
Perfect.
having mentioned Spamberger, um, there it seems like an all-out assault on all corners of guns, self-defense, everything. And one of them is the assault on the assault weapons. Another one is any pistol that has
Assault.
threaded barrel for a silencer, on and on and on. Um, do you have any sense of which are the most egregious ones that they're trying to get through that we need to focus on first, or do we
Well,
just need to focus on each one that comes out of the chute?
well, the ones that we need, there are various levels of infringement here.
Right.
One of the worst is the quote unquote assault firearm, which is a term in our law in Virginia, assault firearm.
What is an assault weapon?
Yeah, well, if you ask them, you get multiple definitions. I can show you in the bills they've got now, they got different definitions
Here's
of
my
what it
assault
is.
pen.
Yes, if you hit
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
with it, it's an assault pen, isn't it? But they want it because, okay, I've had people say, well, the AR-15 is a weapon of war. And I go, well, it's not really used in war. And somebody says, but could it be used in war? I said, yes, it could. I said, bolt action rifles were used in war. Lever action rifles were used in war. Single shot muzzle loaders were used in war. Single shot cartridge rifles were used in war. We have seen semi-automatics used in war. Yes, it could be. And to some degree, that's why it's an important gun that we all have. Because if you had to, you could use it. And I said, the Second Amendment protects our right to have a weapon of war. You can call it a weapon of war. You can call it a modern sporting rifle. I don't care. I've got the right to have it according to the Second Amendment. And our founding fathers would expect us to have that exact kind of firearm for the hopefully the worst possible use of it, which would be to protect ourselves from our own country
Yes.
gone mad.
Yeah.
So
We're
so
working
that's
on it.
one. They want to take those away from us. So what they've done is they said you can keep yours, but the next generation they're out. And if yours break or you need to buy a new and tough, you can't have one of those.
Grandfathered in.
Yes, they did that because they were afraid that they would lose in court if they didn't do something. At least they can say, well, we're not taking their guns away. They can still have them and use them. They just can't buy new ones. Yeah, but the new generation won't be able to get them at all. So
Or
somebody
you
turning
can't take it
18
from
on
your
July
house,
1st.
Philip. Well, I'm listening the
Yeah,
other
that was
day,
the
and
next one.
right, I'm listening to Tim Anderson, and I'm hearing, okay, I've got my gun, but I can't take it out of my house. So even if I move, I can't move it from here to my new house. That's kind of how it's written.
Well, Tim missed one little part in that. There is a part that says as long as it's unloaded and in case like out of
And in a
reach, you
box
can
with a
trans.
certain
Well, you
combination
can.
with
Well, just
wrapping
the fact
tape.
that you can't. It's not within your wingspan and it's unloaded. Then that's called transporting. The law allows you to transport the
Transport.
gun, like
Right. Good point.
that way, or to and from the range, to and from the dealer, to and from. Now, I'm not saying this is good stuff. I'm saying you can transport, but then again, what good is it to you if it's unloaded and locked away? It's of no use to you. What
Right.
they did say is you can't carry that gun in public. You can't carry it in public streets, in public alleyways, in anything of whatever nature that's open to the public. Well, excuse me, what about a gun store? I mean, that's open to the public of whatever nature. You're telling me I can't carry a gun in a gun store, So that's
Unbelievable.
another one. So that's two. One, take it away from future generations. Two, make it so you really can't carry it much of anywhere. The next thing they're doing is they're going after manufacturers so
Right.
that they can be frivolously sued for all kinds of stuff, and not just gun manufacturers. If you sell holsters, you sell slings, you sell grip modules, you sell barrels, you sell sights, any of that stuff, in theory, you could be sued because it's under this law because it falls into the category that says, if this is misused and you could have done a better job in keeping it away from criminals, then you could be sued civilly.
And it's
That's
just so
again,
criminal
I
in
know it
itself.
doesn't make sense, guys, but what's
None.
the end goal? What's the end goal of gun
To take it
control?
away.
That's it. And so this is
To
just
take it
another
all away.
step. Let's make it so, yeah, you can have a Second Amendment, but go try and buy a gun. See if you can find a dealer somewhere. Go find ammo. See if you can find somebody willing to sell ammo in Virginia anymore because they could be sued if it's misused.
Unbelievable.
You've got a gun, but just try to carry it somewhere. Oh, they tried to put in a permit to purchase, and that was a monster. That disappeared. That got cut down into something different, but
Permit to
that was a
purchase.
monster. Oh my God, that was a monster. So
Unbelievable.
they're coming at us from all different angles.
Is everything that Spanberger is doing uh, a violation of the Second Amendment?
Well, let me say this to be fair to Spanberger, and it's not easy, but she hasn't done anything yet. Okay. She's not
Yeah.
signed a single gun bill. Not yet. Now she has
Yeah.
options. Those bills are headed to her desk. Some are sitting on it now. Her
Right.
options are she can veto the bill. That seems highly unlikely. On the other hand, she's been running as a moderate, and she has higher aspirations. If this
Yep.
was the
Yes,
end
she
game,
does.
I would be more concerned than if there was these higher aspirations and trying to be a moderate. But doesn't mean things won't go really bad. But she can
Good point.
veto the bills. She can change them. And she can change them in one of two ways. She can send it back with a suggestion. Hey, I think we should do this. But if you don't want to do that, I'm okay. Or she can send it back and say, it must do this, or I will veto the bill. And the last thing she can do is nothing. If she chooses to do nothing, the bill will become law. What it is, it allows a governor who sees a bill that's popular with the public, but that governor can't stand personally or it bothers them. It allows them to say, okay, I'm not going to bless this thing, but if you want it, go ahead and have it,
And it
but I'm
makes me
not
look
blessing
better
it.
later on.
Yes,
I
I
have
didn't
nothing.
sign.
I
I
have
didn't
no
vote for
part of
that.
this. I didn't do it.
Yes, yes.
I didn't do
But
anything.
there was
I didn't do anything. They did it
So
through my
she
higher
can
but you
she
could
can
have
act
aspirations
vetoed.
she can actually let a bill become law without signing
without
it.
signing it. Yep.
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly. And she might do
Same
that.
thing
There's one
happens.
pro-gun bill on her desk, one pro-gun bill, very minor. That's why it's there. It's minor. It just allows you to file for a concealed handgun permit electronically as opposed to having to mail in a form to apply. A lot of localities were doing that anyhow. So that's on her desk. And with that, for example, she could say, I just don't like any of this gun stuff. I'm not gonna veto it. I'm not gonna sign it. We'll see. She might sign it. It's so mild. It passed almost unanimously out of both bodies. So, but
It
that's it.
amazes
That's
me
the
that
one
something can go
pro-gun
through.
bill. Well, yeah, tell me it was the one. And that's it. So she could say, well, I signed a pro-gun bill.
Right.
How,
Or I
how
did
best
nothing and it was their fault.
how best can we get engaged in this battle?
Well, number one, when we were screaming back in September, we need to vote. No
Right.
excuses. No
Yep.
excuses. Look, you may not be interested in politics, but trust me, politics are interested in you.
Absolutely. You
You know,
can't
Good
hide
point.
from it.
no, they're coming for you. Now you can
Yep.
either let them come for you or you can push back and try to get the right people in there and stop this stuff.
Doesn't
So
make
those
any difference what
elections,
side.
the elections were disturbing to say the least, especially out in your part and further south. That was a huge disappointment. I don't know if people said, well, Trump's in office, so we don't have to worry.
We
Those are
saw
people
that.
that don't know. Yeah, we
Seems like
don't,
it.
these are people that don't know how government works. They don't realize federal government and state government are completely different. I mean, I
Right.
would put it this way. We're all under the same federal government, okay?
Hmm.
So try and open carry in New York City without a permit, even with a permit, and see what happens to you. No, it's state laws where most of the infringements are. The vast majority are at the state level. Trump can't do much about that. I will say, however, the DOJ is showing great interest in some of these bills, and I do
Yes,
believe they're going to get involved. I think
I
they're
do
going to
too.
start suing the state of Virginia. We're suing the state of Virginia. I know GOA is going to do it. The NRA is talking about doing it. The
Right.
NSF, they're going to. This state is going to become a lawsuit heaven over this stuff because the whole country is watching. They're saying if Virginia goes down, and they use that same formula here in Georgia or in North
Correct.
Carolina or Alabama, we're going to be in the same boat because nobody thought this could happen in Virginia 10 years ago or 15 years ago. But this is a proving ground for how it can be done if people don't get active. So that's
Well,
number one, vote.
as Trump put
Number
it,
two,
the Revolutionary War started. It started here. Okay. Okay. This is where the concept. This is where everything started in America. Here in the Valley. It's going to end here. Okay. This we knew going into this a few years ago that the Shenandoah Valley was going to play a huge part. I will say something about Frederick County. We had 500,000 people. Charlie knows this as well as most people. If you don't, you're going to learn it now. Over 500,000 people did not show up to vote last year. And they'll go, well, it's not a big deal. Trump won. And you're exactly right, Philip. That's what they said. 500,000 people. Okay. But Frederick County had one of the largest turnouts ever. Okay. But that's because, and it goes back to working local. We work local. Okay, that we when we started our Mountain Patriot group, it started like I told you earlier as a neighborhood watch, and it grew. So our guys are out watching the polls. We had 23 people out there last time. We were able, in a lot of respects, the first go round in 23, we were able to uh, get the board of supervisors. We were able to do the school board. We were able to get the commissioner of the revenue, the clerk of court, and so forth. But then people stop. And then it all kind of started to switch back again because they stopped paying attention to it. And those are the same people, the ones that don't vote are the ones that come up at your board of supervisors and so forth and yell and scream and holler about how their rights are violated, but they didn't say anything or we were able to show back up last November. And we've got a big thing coming up right now in April.
in yes, it's a vote no on the big thing in
Vote
April.
no.
No. The in 2020 when we first went through this thing when the
Right.
Democrats controlled everything, we had 50,000 people, gun owners, show up in Richmond. They'd
Right.
never seen anything like it. We were the largest gun rights rally, I believe, in American history. I don't think it
Right.
was anything that big. The NRA is a show that goes on for days. We're talking about a rally where people aren't there to look at guns; they're there to send a message.
Right.
But then 2 years later, that crowd had shrunk down to maybe 500 people. That was it. Where did everybody go? They went back into their little shells. Again, you may not be interested in keeping an eye on government, but government is interested in keeping an eye on you. It will not leave you alone. And until you accept that, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And then I hear people go, well, I'm just going to go to another state. Now, I'd say two things to that. Number one, get an apartment because you're going to be moving a lot. If we can't stop it here, you're going to be floating in a little piece of ice off Alaska at some point in the future because that's all that'll be left. No. And number two, our founding fathers would spit in our faces for leaving Virginia, where this started, where this whole thing began. People put their entire lives on the line. If they had lost to the crown on that revolution, they would all have been executed. Their families would have been executed. They put everything on the line. If they lost that, it was over. And then we're here, and we get some pushback. Oh, we got to run away. No, they actually had to fight in the ditch against the other side. It's unbelievable. We don't need cowards in Virginia. We need patriots. Yep. We need to hand this state over to the next generation the way it was handed to our founding father, to our fathers and their fathers, and to us. We can't run away. To me, that just turns my stomach to hear about somebody wanting to retreat.
We're about to do retreating. Philip, we're about to do this. We have the opportunity, and I'm sure you're going to share this video as well. But Charlie and I are working with the Liberty Man in Warren County. And he has history that goes all the way back to the Revolutionary War. And what you're saying right now about the families, what they did, what they had to, we're going to give the family and personal perspective of somebody's family who went all the way through. This guy lost 7 grandfathers, 24 uncles. He's all plastered right here in the Shenandoah Valley, and we're going to bring that history back to life. Charlie and I starting this Friday with the Liberty Man. You want to add to that, Charlie? Because Philip's right on.
I think that says it well. I want to get back to the question of how best do we engage in this battle? And you said number 1 was voting. I'm assuming number 2 is show up. Not just for voting, but for demonstrations and get your points across.
Yeah, well, number 2 is in our case, you want to get on our free VA alert, or better yet, become a member. But we have an email blast that keeps you updated on everything dealing with guns. That's all we focus on is guns. Anything that would affect you as a Virginia gun owner. It's usually not stuff from other states, but sometimes we'll look out there and say, hey, let's watch this carefully, so it doesn't happen here, or it does happen here because we want it. We occasionally will get involved with federal. It's rare, but for example, national parks. We started the movement that eventually got us to where we can carry in national parks. Think why? Well, some of my counterparts in other states said, what? We don't even have a national park. I said, I cannot throw a rock in Virginia and not hit a national park. This place is loaded with history. So we do occasionally get involved there, but get involved, join us, get on the email list, and we'll send that during the legislative session. We send out emails and say, contact your senator, contact your delegate about that. But we pre-write them for you. All you have to do is click on a link
and type
in your name and address, and boom, it's gone. Now, if you want to edit it and maybe put in your own personal perspective, or you want to change, that's fine. You can do that, but you don't have to. Fire it off. That helps. Show up in committee meetings. All that stuff is helpful. Now, the other thing that's really important is show up for our lobby day. See, this is interesting. This shows you the problem that we have right now. We were screaming about voting in November. People didn't listen. Right. Then we said, hey, some really bad stuff is going to come down the pike. We need a big lobby day, which is always Martin Luther King Day. That's always the 3rd Monday in January every year. Yeah, it's a federal holiday, but the General Assembly is always in session. So we show up when they're in session, and early enough to where we can get pressure and get changes done, not late in the event, early, but show up for that. But so we got about 2,000 to 3,000 people showed up. Okay, that was better than most years lately, but it was nowhere near 50,000 people. Yet the threats were more severe now. Nobody was listening. Then suddenly, when these bills hit, because keep in mind, and we told our members this, we got to see a video presentation that was done to legislators. Well, legislators said, hey, you might want to watch this little presentation. So we got to watch a presentation. They didn't know we were watching. So we kind of knew what was coming, and we warned our members. I said, they're going to hold back on the worst bills until after lobby day, when you guys are no longer in a position to be as riled up. And then, sure enough, that's exactly when the assault weapon ban came
Right.
out and permit to purchase came out and all that stuff. So
Right.
what happened is now crank things forward. Now suddenly people go, oh no, we didn't know this was going to happen. And now suddenly you've got all these influencers on social media getting active. I'm glad they're doing it, but now they're getting active. Now they're rallying up people. So now there's going to be a rally this Saturday in
Right.
Richmond which is not. I'm a speaker at that rally, but obviously that if that ends up being huge, that the problem is that should have been what happened in January.
Right.
Now the best it can do is influence the governor, which is it makes it worthwhile. Don't get me wrong. I think we should do this. I think anytime people want to get together like that and have a rally and fight for our rights, I'm all for it, even if it's off hours or whatever.
The
But
11th
if
hour.
you but I'll take it over not doing it at all. My emphasis at the rally is going to be, guys, all of you, you need to be here on January 18th of 27 when for the rally that really matters, and that's VCDL Lobby Day. That's where you need to be. And I'm hoping that they'll listen. We had 50,000 in 2020 and it dropped to a trickle after that. If it happens again, this is not going to end. It does not make the job easier. It's we've got pictures of that rally. You've probably seen them. It was unbelievable. The streets were jammed corner to corner. I had a senator. I had a body cam on that day, and I videoed as I went around, getting ready to go up to speak to that massive crowd and everything. And I had a senator walk up to me, a Republican senator, and he says, "I'll be GD."
Right.
I mean, I said, "Hey, do you want me to censor that?" But he said, "I've never seen anything like this." He was just totally blown apart by the number of people, and uh, this is what we need. And
We
people
got to show up.
and did the event cause a problem? Look, the governor back then, Northam, was doing everything he could to keep this from happening. They kind of saw this was building, and he was warning, well, they're going to be white supremacists there. We expect there's going to be trouble. And we even had a guy that was supposedly pro-gun influencer saying, well, you're going to be like a bunch of cattle in this fenced-in area, and they're going to take a shot, and suddenly everything's going to be shooting, and people are going to die. It's going to be like all these buffaloes they used to run off a cliff. The Indians did. And none of that happened. In fact, the papers noted that Richmond was cleaner in the
Right.
areas we
That's
were.
what
There
I
were
heard.
zero arrests.
Richard was cleaner.
The, the the press was determined to find somebody that got arrested. So they waited, and 2 hours after the rally was over, they found a woman 2 blocks away that had nothing to do with the rally that got arrested. Why did she get arrested? She was wearing a
Publicity.
mask. She was wearing a mask. This is in 2020,
Wow.
before COVID, wearing a mask. And so the press said, oh, look at this. There was somebody arrested. No, this is how disingenuous they are. And we all know this.
Yeah,
We
we
all know
do.
it.
Yeah, we do. I mean, you got 50,000 people down there, yet what happened the other day in New York? Two guys with an IED. Okay, 50,000 uh, uh, 2A supporters with no problems leave the place cleaner than they came, and then two guys that absolutely destroy something. I mean, it blows my mind. The narrative is just so backwards, Philip. It's
And
so backwards.
if you look at the rally, lots of ARs there. One guy brought a Barrett 50. Oh, he was there from Connecticut. He was walking around with a Patriots hat on. It was great. With her, no problem. In fact, it was the last place on God's green earth that we would have had a problem. You would have had to have been insane to have started a. I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised to learn that somebody did show up with the intent to cause trouble and looked
Of
around and
course,
said, "Well, I think I'm going to go do something else. I think I'm late for church." So,
the paid
but
agitator.
but we know, again, we know that this whole assault weapon ban, all that is not going to save lives. We know it's not about saving lives. Any kind of long gun used in a violent crime for murder is almost non-existent. It's almost always handguns if it's a firearm. Your chances of being beat to death are much higher than being
Oh
ever
yeah,
shot together with a long gun or being stabbed. But again, we go back to the theme. It's not about safety. It's not about anything except
Control.
disarming us ultimately. They saw those guys with ARs. They weren't causing a problem. They knew they weren't dangerous, but they didn't like it in the General Assembly. And that's one reason we got the AR ban. They didn't like that we used to be able to carry in the General Assembly. I carried there for years, carried concealed.
Right.
They didn't like that. So they took that away to discourage us. And it did. That's the other thing you'll see about the problem I have with gun owners, a lot of them. Oh, I can't carry at the Capitol. Well, then, geez, I just can't go.
Why not?
It's like, wait a minute, guys. That's not how you win a war. Yeah, I don't get to carry. Do you think I like going unarmed? Do you think for 2 seconds I like walking around, especially who I am, with
Right.
people that hate the hell out of me for what I do, walking around unarmed? But I've got to do it because I've got to get in the General Assembly. If we're going to do a rally, we have to unarm. Although some people on the other side of the street where it was legal,
Right.
there were some there that were armed. That was fine, but you've got to do this. And see, the other side did this intentionally. They knew that if
Oh,
they
yeah.
said you can't carry guns in Capitol Square, that the crowds would cut way back. And they were right. And we've played right into that hand. We've got to stop playing into that hand. We've got to stand up and say, especially like our founding fathers going, well, this could be inconvenient to fight this war. I might get wet crossing the Delaware
Right.
River. I don't know. I'm just going to go home. No, they did what they had to do, and we need to do what we've got to do.
I want to
Yeah,
share
what
something with you. I want to share something with you really quick. The other day, I had to go to the clerk of court. I had to drop some paperwork off. And I walk through the door. It says, you can't have your cell phone. Okay. Okay. So I have to go back out to my car. Charlie, I don't know if I told you, go back out to my car, put my cell phone in there. Okay. And my pocket knife and everything else. Well, on my key ring is a tiny little can opener. I mean, little can opener. So he says, you have to take your belt off. So I'm going, and I joke around. I said, do I get a shower? If after I get undressed, do I get a shower for doing all of this? He did not think I was funny. And then he takes my keys and he says, you do not understand what I'm saying. I don't need any smart asses like you. And I'm going, what did I do? Over a tiny little can opener. And I had to put my smartwatch, my bracelet, my belt, everything in a flipping locker to go down and file a $27 piece of paper. But that intimidation in itself makes people not show up. So you know what I did? So the next day, this is funny. So the next day, I got all my paperwork right because it wasn't right the first time. Go back in 2 days later, and I took the little thing off my pocket, my key ring, and I put it in my pocket. So I go back and forth through and I get to the clerk's office, and there's a little can opener in my pocket, and they didn't catch me the second time. I'm thinking, I mean, how much trouble can I be with a tiny little can opener? It was the intimidation factor that people that are used. And folks, if you learn anything from this story, don't be afraid to show up empty-handed. You've got a whole bunch of other people that are there with you. You just got to show up.
I would have said, hey, if I get a can, could I bring the can opener
He
in?
was not having any of that.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
But let me say that you're not totally helpless. At the General Assembly, you can carry a folding metal knife as long as it's less than 3 inches. And
Not in our court.
I was looking for it. I don't have it in here.
Not in our court. You can't even have your smartwatch.
Oh no, but in the General Assembly and at the Capitol Square, and all
Wow.
that, if you go, you can carry a less than 3 inches. So VCDL bought a bunch of switchblades that we sold to our members. We got that law changed a few years ago, about 4 years ago. Where switchblades were legal. So I've got a switchblade that's 2.94 inches long, and carry that in the General Assembly. So yeah, it's better than nothing. So you don't have to go completely disarmed, but it can't be 3 inches. Again, why 1/1,000,000th of an inch would have mattered? Why they couldn't have said, look, most knives are made in 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4. They usually don't go 2.94 inches, But at some point when we have a different General Assembly, I think I would try to make that little change and say, well, if we're going to do
control.
The 3 it is.
It's control. You can only have 4 M&Ms. You can only have 4 M&Ms, and you can't have the blue ones. I mean,
Phil,
Why? Well, because I said so.
I've got a question. Where does reciprocity stand, and what's going to happen with that?
Yeah, that's a question. There is a bill that hands the power over to the Attorney General to determine if another state's laws are close enough to Virginia's where
Change
we
it.
would offer them reciprocity. Now, we've been there before. That was the old days.
Mhm.
And what happened, I think it was like in 2018, somewhere in that ballpark. I can't remember the exact date, but Herring, when we had Herring as our attorney general, he said publicly, well, I think I'm going to cut way back on the number of states that we recognize because we're going to get real strict about this. That caused an uproar so loud that even the Democrats in the General Assembly were going, "Oh boy, did he step into a minefield with
That was
this?"
18.
People were mad. So we got involved in this, and what ended up happening was we ended up going the other way. The law took him completely out of the picture, and we honored all states. So the governor, nor was it no, it was McAuliffe, drove
Terry
over,
McAuliffe.
put him under the bus, and drove over the attorney general two or three times. In fact, when they were having a press conference announcing this stuff, the attorney general was nowhere to be found. He was not even going anywhere near that. He was so mad that he got run over. So that's what happened back then. So they're trying to do the same thing now. They're putting us in that same posture.
And you got the
And
Utah permit.
yeah, whatever. Well, I mean, it was great for me as an instructor, but I was more than happy to be the
Right.
one that pushed to get the law changed. But
Right.
back then, oh my God, I was in huge classes, huge ones. Utah mostly. Yeah, I mean, I literally had 40, 50 people in a class doing it,
Yeah, I
one
got
after the
mine.
other.
We
But
got ours
at
seven,
the
eight
end of the
years ago.
day, I was happy to say, "Oh, yep, I'll give up all that money if we get our freedom back." And so we
Right.
fought, and we got that we got the universal recognition. So that bill is alive, but it's been struggling, and
Right.
we'll see what
Terribly.
happens. I've got my fingers crossed that maybe that bill will get lost somewhere along the way. If a bill doesn't get to a certain point, it'll die. I don't know
Which
what's going
bills
to
can
happen with it.
which bills concern you the most, Philip, that are sitting
Well,
in?
assault weapon ban, banning the gun, banning where you can carry it, attacking gun dealers, gun manufacturers, anybody that sells gun stuff, reciprocity because we travel quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the most egregious. They also are taking away the rights of 20, 18, and 19-year-olds to buy
Right.
a handgun or an assault weapon. Now, they're not saying they can't possess it or carry one.
They can't buy
At
it.
18, you can open carry a handgun. They're just saying you can't buy one. So it's got to be gifted to you, your parents. But what if you don't have a parent that'll gift you a gun or whatever? Then you're denied your rights. I think they're going to lose on that one too in court. I don't think that's going to hold up. In fact, Virginia, I want to say, or even federally, I think militias were expected. People at 16 were expected to be a part of the militia.
Yeah.
Much less 18-year-olds. Heck, you're there.
16 to
Wouldn't it be nice
51.
if 18-year-olds going into the military had already had a pretty good understanding of firearms,
Yep.
that had maybe owned them and used them? Wouldn't that be nice? But I will say this much: in the General Assembly in the past, if the police wanted something, like an off-duty police officer wanted to be able to carry here or carry there, where the rest of us couldn't, usually they were given that privilege where we
Mm-hmm.
weren't. It was like, well, wait a minute, he's off duty or he's retired. Why does he get to carry where I don't? I mean, why is his retired police officer? He doesn't have any more. He doesn't have any permit to. He doesn't have the ability to arrest anybody or
It's
anything.
absolutely
But
ridiculous.
but now they've changed that. The Democrats have gone against the police as well. They've told this year the thing about carrying an assault weapon in public, off-duty and retired police are not exempted. In fact, they specifically cut them out so that they're no better off than us. Now, I think we all should be doing this, but at least I have to say, at least it's something to be fair that we're off-duty or retired or on the same plane as everybody else. And they tried to let them carry in government buildings last year, and they turned that down,
Right.
off duty and retire. They said, no, you can't carry in state government
Or a
buildings
can
here.
opener.
Do
That
you do
can
you
opener.
do you also address the castle doctrine? I mean, we
Um,
don't have the castle doctrine, right? We
we
don't have
we
the. Go ahead.
right. We have a stand your ground,
Stand your
Charlie.
ground.
Yep.
Yeah. And that applies in your home. So in a way, you could think of it as a castle doctrine. Maybe that's actually a very good question. Number one, Virginia's self-defense laws are common law. What that means is they came over in 1607 from England with
Lord
the
Henry.
first people coming here. Yeah. We and our self-defense laws are not written down. You can't go to a code section and say, well, this, that, and the other.
Mhm.
No, it's common law, and it's been expanded and developed over all these hundreds of years. So ours is very broad. As long as you're innocent, you did nothing to cause a problem, you can protect yourself anywhere you
Anyway,
are in the
right.
state. Doesn't matter where you are. Parking lot, uh, somebody else's home, a bowling alley, your own house. And at one time we looked at codifying it, like Illinois codified theirs. And
Mhm.
amazingly, Illinois has great self-defense laws. They kind of match ours, but they codified theirs. So we looked at doing that, and we were told, no, that's a bad idea.
Hmm.
Because if you codify it, then the courts have to use the narrowest approach when interpreting these laws. They've already got a broad view. Leave it alone. Is there a problem? We said, well, no, actually, we haven't. For example, we don't have any protection about being sued by the criminal
Right.
after the fact, but it
Right.
doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because they lose in court. The lawyers make money off of the suit if they
And
win,
you get
and
dragged through it.
yeah, but they don't want to do it because they don't make money. They keep losing. So
Right.
that's not a problem in Virginia. The courts just don't put up with suing somebody that the jury said wasn't guilty. So, but
Amazing.
anyhow, other states do codify. We don't, but we have common law, and it's a stand your ground anywhere. Should you retreat if you have a chance? Yes.
Mhm.
Anytime you can get
Yeah,
away
right.
and don't have to pull that trigger,
Right.
get away and don't pull that trigger. If you
It's
can't,
it's interesting that when I first got my concealed carry permit and started carrying, that I totally avoided any possibility of going into an area that was bad, a circumstance that was bad. All of a sudden, I was so aware that I needed to stay away from that because I never wanted to draw my gun. And
Right.
I was even asked by a liberal speaker at a conference, um, well, you have a concealed carry because we were talking about guns. He said, "Does that make you feel big and strong
No.
now that you've got you carry a gun?" And I told him, no, it's just the opposite, just what I mentioned to you. And there's a psychology there that they ignore.
Mhm.
And
Good point.
and maybe it's a psychology it would be helpful if it were taught to people to avoid the problem, to get out of Dodge, to get somewhere else other than walking into a place where you know something might happen.
and don't trigger anything. If somebody cuts you off in traffic, don't yell at them and make an
Right.
unfriendly
Yeah,
finger gesture. Don't do
Right.
yeah,
that. Just swallow it up because once you do that, you're
yeah.
now part of the problem. And now you
Absolutely.
lose that protection of stand your
Bingo.
ground. Now you have to retreat if they come after you. It indicates you've given up the fight. When you can go no further, then you can defend yourself.
Right.
And then it's only that in the original case, you're justified. If you're innocent, you're justified in self-defense. If you were part of it, even a little bit, and you had to
Right.
retreat,
Use common
you have an
sense.
excuse for it. And then you might get arrested for the second one, where the first one, if it's clearly self-defense and you were innocent, they may not even arrest you. So yeah,
I
that's a very good point, Charlie.
Yeah, and I got another question too. Is we have a one gun a month law.
Mm.
I like to consider that meaning we're required to buy a gun once a month.
I tried that with my wife. It didn't work.
You sound like one of our buddies, Charlie, our 2A guy. I gotta buy one every month.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, it's the law, man. I can give her
Yeah.
the code section.
Let me ask a question, Philip. What kind of training also does VCDL do for? Because we're looking also at the younger children because we do a lot of things around here. Um, we want to make sure that the younger children know what it is, how it works, what to do, all the safety. What kind of training programs does VCDL offer for members?
Well, we have the VCDL Academy where we're trying to teach civics and the Second Amendment to even college level kids who aren't learning this stuff.
What did
So
you
we've
cover?
got part of it is education. So that's part of it. A lot of us are certified firearms trainers.
Mhm.
So the organization generally doesn't What we do is the alerts I told you about that people should sign up for the free VA alerts. We update people on laws. Our lawyers will occasionally get on there. In fact, we just had a live meeting on well, it was a virtual meeting, but we
Right.
had our lawyers on just this Sunday talking about the new gun laws and what was coming. So occasionally we get a lawyer up there talking about self-defense or talking about this or that. So a lot of the education is just reading what we're putting out. And if you do that, you'll be up to speed on gun laws. I mean, it's amazing the people that'll come forward that aren't members and demand, well, what are you guys doing? Well, where were you all this time, you
Right.
know? And then I'll know that they aren't members because they'll ask questions about stuff that we covered in the alerts. I said, well, if you had gotten the alerts, you would have known this was coming and this was what the effect was going to be and all that. So,
Is
but
are,
education's key.
are there other states that have a counterpart, a doppelganger to you?
Yes, Maryland shall issue,
Good friend
Arizona
of mine
Citizens
runs that.
Defense League, Connecticut Citizens Defense League. Um, Trying to remember in Georgia, their name changed. Bama Carey in Alabama. Yeah, we've
Okay.
got people saw we were the leader in this. We were like
Mhm.
the one that everybody else was looking to for a state level organization
Hmm.
as to how it's done. And we were happy to share that. We put our bylaws up on the website. Somebody wants to read how we're organized. I spent hours on the phone with other organizations like the Citizens Defense League of Connecticut. Got together with them. Happy to do it. We've seen good success in all these states.
Are you a nonprofit?
Yes, we got three different groups. We got VCDL, which is a C4.
Mhm.
We've got the VCDL PAC, which is actually not a nonprofit, but that allows them to be
Right.
partisan or to give money. And then we've got Virginia Citizens Defense Foundation. That is a
Foundation.
C3 that's tax deductible if you donate to that, and they're centered around education, but also lawsuits. So that would allow people to donate and help get us money because, for example, to do a lawsuit like we're looking at doing for just one category, like let's say
Mhm.
the assault weapon ban, it's $40,000 to walk in the door.
Right.
Okay, that's a lot of money because we don't sell things. We're dependent upon members. I mean, that's what we're doing is we're just
We know what that's
way
like.
of doing it. Yeah, you do.
We
So,
do.
but if you donate to the foundation, you can write it off on taxes.
Right.
Um, so
So
it'll be
you'd
nice.
say the foundation uh, is probably the most important place to donate to?
Yeah, that or VCDL if you don't care about the tax deductible side.
Well,
Yeah, the PAC would
I
be
do.
next year. PAC would be like next year, but this year would help too because next year is the major elections in Virginia, new House, new
Exactly.
Senate. We could change. Well, we can't reverse everything that's going. We could stop it. There could be no bad bills
Right.
headed to the governor's desk. We could put sanity back in Richmond. So the PAC is going to be very important that they're well funded because they will be pushing the candidates that we need to support.
You know, I
Yeah.
remember you coming out and talking to us at the Roritan Club
Yeah.
about 3 or 4 years ago. I was like, boy, he's so familiar to me. And then I just sitting here and I'm thinking because we're supposed to be there on the 13th, and you came out and spoke to the I think it was either Frederick County or Winchester 2A group with Susan Chick. And I was like, that's
Yes.
where I got all my
Yes. Was
stickers.
at a church, wasn't it? Wasn't that at a
It's a
church?
little Roritan club.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I
So
remember
what
that.
can we do to help, Philip? Tell us what we can do that
Well,
that that helps VCDL. We're going to put you out on our website. We're going to be talking about it with all of our members of Mountain Patriots.
spread the
What
word. That's the
directly
main
could we
thing.
do to help?
Spread the word. Again, emphasize people about voting. Have them, if they can, join VCDL. If they can't, at least get on the free VA alert. At least be knowledgeable. And then just follow our directions when it comes to the General Assembly, which is will be ending pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
But like we got a link you can click to send a message to the governor, and just like that to tell her don't don't want any of this stuff. And a lot of people go, well, they're not going to listen to us. And yeah, they do listen to us.
Yeah.
They may not like listening to us. They may not do anything with it right away, but it's tempered them. That 2020 rally got rid of the assault weapon ban back then. It way toned down a bunch of the stuff that did pass to where it wasn't nearly as bad. Like we have the least egregious red flag laws back then in the country because they looked outside, saw 50,000 people, and they toned it back. So yeah, your voices matter. The main thing is spread the word. Let's educate people. It sounds like you're doing a great job up in your county, but we need to spread this all across, especially out in the red areas of Virginia, because they failed us. And now we're all paying the price for that. Should never have happened. Democrats got seats they should never have gotten, never. And
Yeah,
so
we
that's
had
it.
a
We just
a lot of seats went unchallenged.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
15.
shouldn't happen. Yeah, that's
15 seats.
then that lets if you don't have a that's another thing. Encourage your members to run for office. Yeah, well,
We're
put somebody
trying.
like us in. Wow, we understand this stuff. We have common sense. But if there's a challenger, then you forcing the person, the other person that's running to spend money to fight the challenger. Otherwise, they got
Right.
all this free money. Well, nobody's challenging me, so I'm going to give it over here,
Right.
over there. Also, if you find yourself in a district where it's like, oh, like if you're in Northern Virginia and you're going, God, I got nobody. I don't want to give, nobody's worth a darn. Then give your money to another locality where there
Right.
is a tight race, where you've got a good person. Yeah, it doesn't
Agree.
affect you directly, but it affects you indirectly because you're going to get a good person into office to help counter your bad person. That's another
Perfect
way to look
example.
at it.
Great words of
Cool.
advice. Anything left, Charlie? Well, let me
No,
ask a
I'm
question. What does it cost, Philip, real quick? What does it cost to join VCDL for the people that are listening?
It's $25 a year.
Yeah.
So, anymore, that's barely a dinner
Well,
out,
I just
or
wanted
by
people to know that.
yeah,
Okay.
we haven't raised the price in ages. We're very frugal with
It's not
money.
about the
And if
money.
no, we don't bug people for money. If we do ask for money, we tell them exactly
What
why
is
we need it. Not, oh, we just need money. No, we need it because we're doing a lawsuit. This is the bills. But we generally don't. People tend to be very generous just on their own. We have gun owners are great people. I love my job. I love dealing with people like you guys.
Oh, this
It's
has
a
been
great
great.
world.
This has been so educational. I have really, really
is there
enjoyed this
anything, any
conversation.
last thing that you want to tell us, share with us that we haven't touched on?
I think we've covered a lot of ground. Again, we know that the enemy's out there. We know they're very real, and
Yeah,
the
that's true.
ultimate goal is they want control of us. They can't do it if we've got guns, but if we don't watch them, they're like I say, they're interested in us, whether we're interested in them. So let's do the right thing here. Let's protect Virginia, and again, let's keep leading. Let's let other states look and say, "Whoa, look what they did in Virginia. Look how they turned that around. Look at the rallies. Look at
We
this.
will.
Look at that." Let's be that leader.
We will.
Great.
We're doing
Good
our best to do
advice.
it 24/7, 365, right,
And
Charlie?
you guys are doing
Right.
great work. You guys with the ministries, you're doing great work, reaching out to
Well,
God's
it's a
people.
God
Great
mission.
stuff.
I'll
Yes,
say
it
that
is.
right now. It is a God mission. He called us
Yes,
to
it
do
is.
it. And, so I've somebody said to me the other day, boy, if you don't make anything and you do this all the time, that's not a really good business model. And I said,
Yeah,
well,
it's
what
not a
is a
business.
good business model 4 or 5 years from now if we lose everything?
No, exactly,
I mean, it's
exactly.
the price of failure is a lot bigger.
I would just say real quickly, if you look down from the 5,000 foot on all this, some of the countries kind of walked away from God, but a lot of so much of it still is very much, and a lot more of it's starting to switch. Okay. But you look at what's going on in the Supreme Court and some other places where the battle is going the other direction, it's going our way. So as things
Spiritual.
are going bad here, we're not standing here alone.
No,
We're being watched over. We got to be part of the battle, but we are being watched over.
Yeah,
We just have to do our part.
the price of freedom is vigilance.
Eternal
absolutely. And
vigilance.
this is a spiritual battle.
It,
This is the battlefield right now. This is a spiritual battle between good and evil. So you either stand for good, you stand with our Lord and Savior, or you don't. I
yeah.
mean, that's how Mountain Patriots rolls. So,
Well,
Philip, I want to
thanks
thank
for
you
your
for doing
service.
this.
Thanks for
Well,
your service.
This
thank
was
you. Thank you
great.
for what you're doing.
And we have Mountain Patriots has been around almost 4 years. We meet just about every Monday for the last 4 years. It gets a little tiring, but it'll be all worth it, especially in the next year. But we have what's called the Mountain Patriots Prayer. So I'm going to ask Charlie if he'll take us out today. But before we do, I want folks to know, please get yourself involved with VCDL. Get yourself involved with Mountain Patriots. Take a look at this video, share it, copy and paste it, send it out there. Take a look at our website, which is MTNPATS, mountainpats.com. If you want more information, submit a form to us and we'll get some information out to you as well. So everything that we cover right now is on the website, all the updates on all the things that are happening. So take a look at Mountain Patriots and help us take America back. So with that, Charlie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Dana. Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful world and this country that you've given us, and the patriots who are willing to care for it. Thank you for inspiring our founders to create this beautiful republic. Please help us to keep it as the aspiring place to live. Please give us the wisdom to do the right things, the common sense to judge wisely, the energy to never give up, and your unending grace in which we take comfort. Jesus, in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you guys so much. Charlie, fantastic. Philip, we will talk plenty. I can guarantee you that. We've got a lot to do. And as we always say at the end of every Mountain Patriots podcast, this one is in the book.
Is in the book.
Have a blessed day, everybody.
God.